if you are at all looking at the direction of your screen right now, you can clearly see I'm about to break down UFC 307 and what just happened. We'll start straight from the main event. The main event of Khalil Rountree versus Alex Pereira. Khalil Rountree was doing really well, guys. I know I was wrong. I picked Khalil Rountree to fluke a win in some ways because I thought Khalil Pereira was way too active. The age would catch up to him. But no. Well, let's go from the beginning. Khalil Rountree wins the first 2 rounds against Pereira, in my opinion. The first round, I think, is quite decisive. He lands the hardest strikes, the bigger strikes, and more of them. Simple as that, and he defends most of Alex Pereira's head kicks. Throughout the entire fight, Khalil Rountree's head kick defense was insane. Every time Alex Pereira would throw a head kick, Khalil Rountree would just block it. In crazy accuracy as well, in terms of just like getting his hands up so well. But that was a downfall in Khalil Rountree because he was not defending his legs well. Pereira was throwing leg kicks at Khalil, and after a while, in the 3rd and the 4th round, you could clearly see Khalil Rountree's leg was compromised. He was moving a little bit more, not jittery, but like more lethargic on his leg, let's just say. He wasn't hopping around like he was at the start. Second round, I think this one's a controversial round for some people, not for me, obviously. Pereira out-volumes Khalil Rountree, but Khalil Rountree drops Pereira at one point. Pereira goes for a switch kick on Khalil. Khalil ducks under, catches him with the right hand, drops Pereira for a split second. Pereira gets back on his feet. But that of the entire round, that was by far the most significant strike. And if that isn't enough for you to give the round to Khalil Rountree, Khalil was landing good strikes on his own. He was getting outvolumed by Alex Pereira, but towards the end of the second round, he does land almost a flush head kick onto Alex Pereira's head. Alex Pereira doesn't drop or anything like that, but you can clearly see it's the second most significant strike of the fight. Not every single significant strike in a fight is valued the same amount. If you're looking for damage, those were the 2 biggest strikes of the fight. Khalil didn't do too bad on the feet. He was throwing with power for the strikes that he was landing. A lot of his strikes were landing to the shoulder and whatnot of Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira had pretty good distance control. He was stepping away, stepping back, moving out of the way of Khalil Rountree. Khalil Rountree, round 3 starts. At this point, I'm thinking, wow, what are the betting odds thinking? How is Khalil Rountree still the underdog after all that? I forgot my own prediction. I said Khalil Rountree looks like a big, beefy bastard. You know what I mean? He's a big, beefy bastard. And in altitude, I feel like his big body would eventually let him to get bludgeoned by a bigger and better behemoth. Words. Anyway, I'm going to subscribe just for that wordplay. But anyway, Khalil Rountree's nose was bloodied open. It was bleeding. In the 3rd round, the round continues. It's pretty even halfway through. I'm calling sports bet. I'm waiting to put $50 more on Khalil Rountree, and the longer I'm waiting, the more the odds are going up. So, for example, when I called them, it was $2.50, then it went to like $2.80, then $3.20, until it went all the way up to like $4 and something. And I was like, bargain. I don't know what. I was a little bit behind to what they're seeing because the sports books, they always see these fights live, like they watch them as they happen. So for the rest of us that stream it, we're always like 20 or like 15 seconds behind. Anyway, I placed the bet. I'm like, this is the easiest money of my life. Khalil Rountree's up 2-0. He needs to win one more round and he'd win the fight. And I still think he's dangerous enough to finish Alex Pereira. And he was looking quick on his feet. Next thing I know, the second half of round 3 starts, and Alex Pereira just completely out-volumes Khalil Rountree, beats him up, kicks, shots to the body, jab, 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 overhand right. The round ends, I'm like, holy shit, okay, round 4. Khalil, reset, take this round. The round starts, and Alex Pereira just puts a beating on Khalil Rountree like nothing you've ever seen. I'm talking kicks to the leg, kicks to the body, jab, jab, right hand. The bloody nose of Khalil Rountree turns into I'm talking like he had dead skin on his nose. Like, that shit was purple. It was dead. There was blood coming out of it. His eyelid, there was a cut right up here. A massive cut. It looked disgusting, to be honest. But then if you look at the photos taken after the fight, it actually looks kind of badass. If you're going to use that kind of like a promotion material for Khalil Rountree against, like, Jamal Hill, I think that's the next fight they should make. I'd be all for it. I think Jamal Hill versus Khalil Rountree is the next fight to make. I don't want to see Khalil Rountree versus Volkan Oezdemir. You know what I mean? Volkan Oezdemir is just the death of the light heavyweight division. Like, you fight Volkan Oezdemir to either get a huge jump up in the rankings, or you fight Volkan Oezdemir because you're not someone they're looking to promote at all. And that's Volkan Oezdemir summarized for you in 10 seconds. Anyway, Khalil Rountree at that point is beaten up real bad. Pereira's laying it on him. Pereira's using some real good distance control. Khalil is swinging though. He's swinging back and forth with Pereira. Not back and forth. He's taking a beating. He's just swinging at Pereira, but he's slow. By now you can tell like he's tired. The lactic acid in his titties, in his back, in his glutes, in his thighs, they've all built up. He's throwing punches, but he's slow. Like he throws punches, some of them land, but the power's gone, the speed's gone. The writing's on the wall. All I'm thinking right now is this a 10-8 round? I was thinking this was a 10-8 round in round 4. It was brutal. And there was no takedowns. It's really hard taking a 10-8 round without any takedowns and any ground and pound. On the feet, Alex Pereira was 10-8ing Khalil Rountree, in my opinion, just blooding him up. Alex Pereira, another epic, badass, cool moment in the fight. Alex Pereira's gloves were just covered in blood, just drenched in blood. I was just thinking, like, I was hoping there would be like a dull moment in the fight where we just like see Alex Pereira slow down and just have his hands up and like just the blood of Khalil Rountree on his hands. An amazing visual. But eventually, Pereira gets Khalil against the cage, beats him up a bit more. 2 shots to the body, and that's all that she wrote for Khalil Rountree. He drops to the ground, covers up. Alex Pereira's a really nice dude. He's a really, really nice dude because he doesn't follow him up. He knows it's over. He just goes, ref, come on. And the ref's like, I gotcha. You know, he doesn't tell the ref to back off and let him cook. Like against Jamal Hill, but didn't need to. It looks more cool this way anyway. The fact that he's just beaten him so badly, then he's like, mercy killing him, like, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Alex Pereira's he wouldn't say yeah like that. He'd just be like, charmer. Anyway, the fight ends. Alex Pereira on the interview says he likes being at light heavyweight, doesn't want to go up to middleweight because Sean Strickland's his friend. It's his training partner. They train together. Doesn't want to go up to light heavyweight. Sorry, he doesn't want to go up to heavyweight. He likes light heavyweight. He likes the cut. He feels good. Makes sense. The winner of Rakic and Ankalaev is going to get the next title shot. Pereira's beaten too many of the top dogs for that not to be a title eliminator. Even though Rakic is coming off a loss to Yuri Prohaska, you have to imagine the winner of that's getting the title shot. That's confirmed. Ankalaev, Rakic, title eliminator. It has to be that. There's nothing else. There's only... I understand Ankalaev is a... I have to wash the taste of these Cheetos out of my mouth. I understand that Ankalaev is a boring fighter, but at some point he's undeniable. A win over Rakic. He's undeniable. Give him the shot. If Pereira can beat Ankalaev, then my goodness. Like, he goes up in the rankings. Because the thing with Pereira right now is he hasn't fought a strong enough grappler, in my opinion. And he hasn't fought the number one contender. He's fought a lot of guys that were the previous champions. So you would think, oh, so of course they have the title rematch, obviously. Jamal Hill and Yuri Prohaska vacated the title, so it makes sense. But the real guy who's been putting in the work, going up the rankings, it's Ankalaev. Ankalaev is the fight to make. If Pereira can beat Ankalaev, he enters some all-time light heavyweight conversations. If you don't think he already is in those. I don't think so. I think there's a lack of longevity. Anyway, moving on. I lost $100 on this fight. I had $50 before the event. Then during the fight, I was like, fuck it, I'm putting money on. Mid-live stream, I had to leave the room so I could tell them my name. You'll find out my name anyway. It's not a big deal. I think you've probably heard of it if you've watched the stream. Maybe. I don't know. Next up, Pennington versus Julianna Pena, the robbery. This card, it was the weirdest shit, man. So Pena takes down... from the beginning. Pennington wins the first round, first of all. She landed the better strikes. She out-volumed Pena. I thought she hurt Pena a little bit in the first round as well. Like, dazed and confused her. It was close enough to the point where actually, the fight's like this. Like, it's not a robbery. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not a robbery. The first round can go to Pena. I had it for Pennington. My friend had it for Pennington. We had it for Pennington. None of us care about Pennington. We had it for Pennington. Second round and third round, Pennington takes down Raquel Pennington. Pennington's doing all right on the feet. Pena takes her down, controls her, beats her up. In one of the rounds, has her back, controls her back, is throwing not big strikes, but is putting Pennington in enough of a danger to the point where you just can't give that round to Pennington. That is offensive. That's offense. Going for submission is offense. She had her back. She took control. Pennington did nothing about it. Offense. Pena won that round. And she won the third round. Doing very similar things. The fourth and the fifth round are clear as day Pennington rounds. Round 4, you can't give... Obviously you can't give round 4 to Pena. She got dropped in that round. She got right hand, lands on Pena's head, drops her. But then stupid Pennington acting like people don't have fucking a fuck ton of money on her. Drops her. Instead of fucking grinding and pounding her, she goes in for a submission. For some weird reason, a guillotine choke of all things as well. Pena gets out, but it's too obvious that Pennington won. She also rocked Pena earlier in the round. She rocked her. She didn't drop her, she rocked her. The 5th round comes around, and Pennington completely outstrikes Pena, in my opinion. Just completely puts on a different... She shows that she's a different level of a striker than Pena is. And there's not much to say other than that. She looked good. Don't know why she couldn't get it going earlier on. I don't know why Pennington didn't implement some of her own wrestling as well, by the way. Like, she's a good enough wrestler where she could have done that, but then she doesn't. Women for you, am I right? But anyway, Pennington didn't look like she was in shape. There was no... Like, I know it's harder for women to have abs, but Pennington showed up to the fight with a gut on her. Like, there was like a little bit of a beer belly, like, sagging over her shorts. I know she trains in elevation, so she has a great gas tank. I understand it probably didn't affect her too much. It might have been strategic to like add a little bit of weight to make sure that Pena couldn't take her down. But you are coming into a fight a little bit out of shape, my gal. What's that all about? Anyway, $200 on Kayla Harrison and Pennington. Gone down the drain. Right now, I'm down $300. You might be thinking, do I ever recover? I do. I came out with $150 in profit. Don't worry about it. Let me explain. Next up, Jose Aldo versus Mario Bautista. Jose Aldo got robbed. Back-to-back robberies. It sucks to see when that stuff happens, but it's what happened. Jose Aldo clearly won rounds 2 and 3. Round 1 clearly went to Mario Bautista. I thought he completely out-volumed him. Jose Aldo, that is. He was landing clean on Jose Aldo's chin as well, on the body. Everything. I didn't think Jose Aldo implemented the leg kicks too well. I think Mario Bautista implemented some of his own leg kicks pretty decently as well. Threatened a takedown. I can't actually remember if he threatened a takedown the first round because I was just so enraged by the result of this fight. My mind went blank. But yeah, I thought Mario Bautista won the first round though. The second round comes around. A close round. To idiots. In reality, Jose Aldo's round. Jose Aldo outstruck Mario Bautista. I don't know the exact amount of strikes that he outstruck him by. I should have looked it up. I don't give a fuck. He clearly outstruck Mario Bautista in that round. He landed the crisper strikes, the better strikes. Mario Bautista was coming in and out. Mario Bautista sometimes, after getting cracked by Jose Aldo, was like turning away from Jose Aldo, like trying to circle out, but instead of like circling out while looking at Jose Aldo, like you know how like fighters do intelligently, he was turned away slightly, then he circled out. Those kind of things have to matter. Like if you're turned like that, then you're circling out right after getting hit. You know it's a significant enough strike. Jose Aldo was doing pretty well at this point in the fight. Mario Bautista tried to wrestle him. You know what I mean? Like but he couldn't. I mean, he tried to wrestle him, couldn't take him down or anything like that. Just held him against the cage. Very, very reminiscent of Merab Dvalishvili holding Jose Aldo against the cage when they fought in Salt Lake City. It's bullshit. Like, listen, I think offense is offense. If you're looking for submissions or take someone down and follow it up with ground and pound, I completely get it. But why is Jose Aldo's own ability to be amazing at takedown defense being used against him? He was using the cage to stop the defense, the takedowns of Mario Bautista. All Mario Bautista did was hold him against the cage. Nothing significant was landed. He just held him against the cage. In the third round, we've moved on to the third round, by the way. In the third round, all he was doing was holding him against the cage. My friend said apparently the striking was close. I didn't think so. I thought Jose Aldo before Mario implemented his hold Aldo against the cage and make me rage game plan. I thought Aldo was clearly outstriking him. Maybe not clearly. Like, it wasn't like 20-10 strikes. It was close, but the more crisper strikes, the better strikes, the more impactful strikes. The things that you need to be measuring when you're like looking for winner in rounds and fights. And then Mario Bautista holds Jose Aldo against the cage. The referee doesn't break them up. There are fights earlier on in the card. There's a fight earlier on in the card where the ref specifically was asking the fighters to like break up like anything longer than 30 seconds on the ground without you literally elbowing someone in the head. Break. I swear to God. But then Mario Bautista doesn't even take him down to the ground, holds him against the cage, and it's just and that's okay. And then Jose Aldo loses. A split decision. So one of the judges had enough brain power to see that the third round should have gone to Jose Aldo. I don't know exactly what the scorecards were. I'm presuming 2-3 Aldo is the case anyone's making who thinks Aldo won the fight. I think he won the fight. I think offense is grappling, and I think in the rules of MMA, it does say grappling is considered offense, like damage and grappling. Like striking and grappling, sorry. But that shit ain't grappling, dude. There was nothing. There was no danger of nothing. He was just holding him against the cage, and Aldo was defending every single takedown. Beat the fuck out of him, and yeah. Fuck. Screw Mario Bautista. I had $50 on Jose Aldo. I was mad at first, but then I remembered, hold on a minute. I had a promotional code that I used. Or a thing that I used. Like I used a promotion. If Jose Aldo loses by split decision, I get paid out as a winner. So I'm up. I knew something like this would happen in one of the fights, or some of the fights. Turns out it happened like almost every other fight. It feels like. I'm not sure if it did or not, but in the women's title fight, this fight, split decisions all round. Jose Aldo was robbed. He retired. Then he came back after being inducted in the Hall of Fame. Came back. Was in the Hall of Fame. And now just got retired again, honestly. Like, there's no point in him fighting more. He said he would do whatever it takes to get to the title. It's too late, Aldo. I'm sorry. The road is too long. You're too old. You'll never get there anymore because Mario Bautista holding against the cage is apparently crazy. The fact that Jose Aldo is one of the best takedown defenders of all time, that gets used against him to lose a fight. Makes no sense, MMA. Roman Dolidze versus Kevin Holland. I have a lot to say about this fight. I got into an argument while I was streaming this fight. Kevin Holland quit, right? Like, I was watching this, he quit. I said, okay, well, Kevin Holland clearly quit. Immediately got attacked by a friend of mine who's in the group, who was in the thing. A few other people who were in the stream. This other guy who was backing me up throughout the entire night, but then for this one specific thing. His name was Spencer, by the way. Spencer, you're a legend. Shout out to Spencer. The first person to ever comment on any of my streams. Officially. He goes against me. Everyone's against me. The world's against me. I don't think Kevin Holland faked an injury. That's not what I was saying at all. He didn't fake an injury. I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. He was clearly hurt. What I'm saying is, how bad of a... I understand if you, like, break your rib, it can rupture your lungs, go into your heart, fuck you up pretty badly. But if that is the case, and this pain was just so agonizing, why didn't Kevin Holland just tap out with 2 minutes left on the clock? Like, why was Roman Dolidze controlling him on the ground, and Kevin Holland didn't immediately tap out? How bad was this pain? Remember when Tyron Woodley broke his rib against Colby Covington? Immediately tapped out. Immediately. Taken down. My ribs. My ribs, he says. Taps out. Immediately. The fight's over. Fair enough. Kevin Holland, the round ends. Gets up, walks to his corner, says, my ribs is gone. His coach is like, oh shit, his ribs is gone. His coach says, oh, okay, we might have to call it off right now, guys. Oh, I think we might have to call this fight off. Then, right after saying that, says to Kevin Holland, you can continue, by the way. It's completely up to you. Kevin Holland walks back and forth thinking, shit, I thought you were going to call it off by now. If it's that bad, Kevin Holland, why didn't you tap out on the ground? Walks back and forth, and then eventually says, nah, no more of this. Like Luke Rockhold against Mike Perry. Nope, no more of this. Fight's over. Shakes Roman Dolidze's hand, gets paid again. At this point, I'm sorry, like, I understand. I get it, right? I get it. You don't want to have career-ending injuries in a fight. Like, you have a long career ahead of you. There's a lot of more money to be made. But at some point, you're getting given these top-level fighters every single time, Kevin Holland. And it feels like after the first couple of rounds, you just give up every fucking time. You fought Wonderboy Thompson. He broke his hand. You broke your hand. Guess who called the fight off? Guess who didn't go out there for a fifth round? It was you. I'm looking right at his eyes, by the way, right now. On the screen, I'm looking right at his eyes. It was you, Kevin Holland. Wonderboy broke his arm, his hand. You broke your hand. You called the fight off. Because you couldn't continue. Wonderboy could. Against Derek Bronson on the feed. You were doing not too bad. But then every single time it felt like... round 5 of the Derek Brunson fight, you take him down. Why don't you just try to fucking elbow him? The round ends. 10 seconds before the round ends, you get up and you're like, walking over to Khabib like, yeah, Khabib, what do you think of that? What? Marvin Vettori, you take a fight in 3 weeks' notice, knowing you have a clear weakness. You have just fought. You know you will probably lose. Everyone knows you'll lose. You didn't think you would win. Be honest. You did not take that fight knowing you could win. You took that fight for the money. You want to fight often and consistently because you understand quantity over quality might pay you better than quality over quantity. Because your ceiling is not the craziest ceiling in the world. You're a good fighter. You could be top 15. You could even be top 10 if you took this more seriously, in my opinion. And took longer training camps. And worked a little bit harder. What happened with Khamzat? Let's get that out of the way. Khamzat pulls out of his fight against Nate Diaz because he misses weight. Here's Kevin Holland ready to take the fight. Oh, what's that, Dana? 20,000 more? I'll do it. It just feels like with Kevin Holland, he's taking these fights to fight and not to win anymore. Like, what happened to that warrior mentality? Like, if your ribs were that bad hurt, I completely understand. You don't want to, like, jeopardize your entire career. But what the fuck, man? Oh, damn it, I'm swearing too much. This really angered me because everyone was against me and I was like, guys, come on. We're fans of the sport. We are not the fighter here. We should be encouraging fighters to, like, keep fighting. Not keep fighting. Not if they're too messed up. Don't get me wrong. If Kevin Holland tapped out after his ribs gave out, understandable. I would be here saying, you know what, Kevin Holland really badly hurt. 2 more minutes of the fight continue with you on your back, another man laying on top of you with bad ribs. You get up. Woodley couldn't stand up after his ribs broke. There's just so many instances that I've just named right now where it feels like Kevin Holland is taking these fights to fight and not to win. In my opinion. Make of that what you will. And for some reason, every time he fights anyone in the top 10 or 15, loses, comes back, beats like one unranked fighter, gets a top 10 opponent. It's clear the UFC like that he saves events. He's a fun fighter. I like Kevin Holland. I want to see him fight some more. Just isn't the highest level of fighter or the smartest fighter or someone that wants to succeed in terms of accomplishments or accolades or all-time rankings. He doesn't want the legacy. He wants the money. This is the classic Khabib. You know when Khabib said to Max, you're taking this fight for the money, not for the legacy? And it's completely wrong. Max took that fight for legacy. He took that on his old contract. Kevin Holland's taking this fight for the money, not the legacy. 100%. That stuff implies to Kevin Holland more than anyone that I've ever seen in my life, I feel like. Anyway, I had $200 in total on Roman Dolidze. I thought he'd get the job done. I thought it would be a decision. I thought Kevin Holland would be able to survive. But I thought what happened in the first round is what would happen. Kevin Holland would get the better of Roman Dolidze. On the feet, Roman Dolidze would use his striking well enough to take Kevin Holland down. Kevin Holland has never been a good defensive grappler. A good defensive wrestler, even. He's been a good defensive grappler, like off his back and stuff, obviously, but just not as a defensive wrestler. You know what I mean? $200, made a bit of money. We up. Next up, Viera versus Kayla Harrison. I don't want to go too much into this fight. It was a good fight in the second round. Actually, it was actually a lot better fight than you would think. Viera did not get finished. She lost rounds 1 and 3, in my opinion, quite clearly. Round 2, and the way Kayla Harrison won these rounds, she took her down. Beat her up a little bit. Not really, though. If I'm being honest with you, didn't really beat her up that badly. Round 1 ended with Kayla Harrison on top, beating up Viera. Fair enough. It was good. She decisively won the first round. Second round, Kayla Harrison had some control time, but honestly, Viera did the far more damage, in my opinion. On the feet, she was striking Kayla Harrison, bloodied her up, cut her open a little bit, actually, even. Made her look human. Made it look like that her takedowns were not, like, impossible to stop. I think she actually damaged her a little bit too much, because the UFC moved this fight to open the card instead of be the second fight on the card. I think the reason they did that is because they wanted Kayla Harrison to win, be out in the cage against Julianna Pena to do a face-off for next year. And I'm predicting it now. Kayla Harrison versus Julianna Pena, main event's a pay-per-view. You hate it, I hate it, but Canada needs a main event. Let's be honest here. The way these things go, Canada gets Scrooge McDuck every single time. Yeah, second round, Viera wins. Third round comes around. Kayla Harrison takes her down later on in the round. Bit of striking on the feet. Kayla Harrison's striking isn't too bad, but if she just stands there and strikes with someone, one of the better strikers in the division would beat her. Not Julianna Pena, though. Julianna Pena's striking is even worse than her. She closes her eyes, looks down. Kayla Harrison does it a little bit as well, but Kayla Harrison, I think, has more power in her hands than Julianna Pena, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm excited for Kayla Harrison versus Julianna Pena. There's not much to say here. Like, she clearly won 29-28. Not much story. I like that they respected each other afterwards. Ketlen Viera's a good fighter. I hope they make Ketlen Viera versus... do I hope that? Ketlen Viera versus Raquel Pennington's the next fight to make, but do I want to see that fight? I'm be honest with you, no. But it will main event, and UFC Apex coming near you very soon. Kayla Harrison, Julianna Pena, main event of a pay-per-view. That's going to happen. You like it or not, doesn't matter. We move on. Oh, this is from earlier, by the way. The same bet for Pennington. It's that one. Harrison did her job. Raquel Pennington did do her job, but the judges are biased, and they want Kayla Harrison versus Julianna Pena. Because that fight is way bigger than Pennington versus Harrison. That wouldn't sell at all. They both be just way too nice to each other. We're finally in the prelim main event. This fight was really, really good. Joaquin Buckley versus Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy Thompson, old man, had grey hairs. Every time he got taken down, I felt so bad. He had that look of just like, is everyone doing this to me now? Like, every person that fights Wonderboy, it feels like nowadays. They know what they're in for. They know takedowns is the way to go. And Wonderboy's striking is just so much significantly better than 99% of the welterweight division, I feel like. Leon Edwards, I think, is on Wonderboy's level. Jack Della Maddalena, maybe as a boxer for sure, but overall, if you include kickboxing, I don't think so. I think Wonderboy and Leon Edwards are probably the two best strikers in the division. Don't get me wrong, Leon Edwards, I understand, is boring sometimes, but you can't deny the fact that he's a great striker. Joaquin Buckley, a good striker in his own right, was losing on the feet against Wonderboy. I actually cannot remember if I had round 1 or 2 for Wonderboy. One of those 2 rounds I definitely have for Wonderboy. I think it was round 1. I think I had round 1 for Wonderboy. He stuffed the takedowns. He looked really good with takedown defense. I know everyone was saying, Shafqat's takedown offensively isn't even that good. And I understand that. I agree with you. I empathize with you. But I think Wonderboy's just gotten better with age at takedown defense. It's crazy, right? I'm happy for Wonderboy. I'm happy that Wonderboy got paid and is still a relevant name in the division. But it just feels so sad. Like, Wonderboy got knocked out in the 3rd round. Joaquin Buckley caught him flush with a right hand, blitzed in. Blitzed in slightly. Caught Wonderboy with the right hand, drops him, KOs him out cold, follows it up a little bit, and Wonderboy's out. And I just don't... Sadder than the KO, I thought was the takedowns. Every time Wonderboy got taken down, because in the 2nd round, Joaquin Buckley slowed Wonderboy down a little bit more. Did a little bit better in the striking. It was a close fight on the striking, just because Wonderboy was so worried about the takedowns. And every time he got taken down, he was just like, he had that look on his face like I just can't fight my fight anymore. And he can't. He can't fight his fight anymore. The division knows the weakness. They'll go after it. I'm sorry, Wonderboy. Matching him up with some strikers. I know he wants to get back to the title. No one in their right mind thinks it's happening. The top of the division is just too stacked with wrestlers and grapplers, and Wonderboy's probably never getting there again, but I hope they match him up with some fun strikers. I know Daniel Rodriquez versus, what's his name? Alex Morono's going down next week. Winner of that. I know it's not like the biggest fight ever, but MVP doesn't want to fight Wonderboy, because I think that would be the fight to make, but they don't want to fight. They said it was going to be a boring fight if they fought. So, winner of Rodriguez. I know it's a little bit of a layup, but Wonderboy's 41 years old. Like, you've got to start giving him some favorable matchups. Like, just not heavy grapplers every single time he fights anybody whatsoever. Maybe Gaslam could be a fight. I think Gaslam could be a fight. Gaslam would wrestle him, though. It's just tough. Joaquin Buckley does well, though. I bet you anything Colby Covington is licking at his chops because he found a new contender that he thinks he can take down and control. Because as big and bulky as Buckley is, he is kind of short. Like, he is a short king. You know what I mean? I'm expecting Colby Covington to call him out. But if it was up to me, I think Buckley should fight. Leon Edwards. I don't know. A striking fight. You know what? A striking fight. Buckley, Leon Edwards. It'd be fun. I had money on this. $100 on Buckley to win. He wins. I had a 3-leg multi. The last leg was Buckley. He wins. Amazing. Marina Rodriguez versus Iasmin Lucindo. What happened in this fight again? Wait, who won? Okay, I'm lost a little bit here. I did watch this fight. You can watch my stream. I watched this fight. I know who won. Was it Rodriguez? Or was it Lucindo? It was Lucindo. Another fight. I thought they were gonna. I just remembered because I was thinking, damn it, they're gonna rob her. No, this was bullshit. This entire fight. Iasmin Lucindo loses the first round to Marina Rodriguez. I'll agree to it. Second round, she's controlling Rodriguez. She's losing on the feet, obviously. Lucindo looks like a little boy, by the way. I noticed that in the fight. Not just because of the haircut, her face shape, the way she moves. Put a shirt on her, put her in jeans, give her a belt. She's a boy. In the second round, she takes down Marina Rodriguez, pushes her against the cage, controls her a little bit. Is doing well in the grappling. The referee, for some weird, bizarre reason, breaks up the fight. I don't get why. I don't get it. It wasn't even that long. Like, it wasn't like she wasn't doing anything. Like, she was, like, going to get full mount. She definitely won the second round, by the way. Lucindo definitely won the second round. One going to the last round. Last round comes around. The referee is, like, giving Lucindo warnings on the ground, like, while she's on top of Rodriguez. And I'm confused at this point. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Apparently, from what I gathered, the referee... Lucindo was straight on top of Rodriguez for just 20 seconds maybe. She was working. She was trying to get good position for herself. Apparently, and then the referee just comes in, stands them up, and I'm like, what's happening? Apparently Lucindo's nose was inside her chin was touching the eyeball of Rodriguez, and Rodriguez was complaining about it, and then the referee thought that was too much and then stood him up. Made no sense whatsoever. Good for Lucindo, though. Once she got back on her feet, she did good enough on the striking that I thought she still took the round despite that bullshitness. And that was that. And that was the end of the fight. And that's when I should have known that this card's going to be wonky, because Lucindo definitely should have... I'm not going to say clearly, but if the referee didn't stand them up, she would have clearly won the third round and therefore clearly won the fight. Rodriguez is old. I called it before. She's 37 years old. Look down the rankings, trying to make as much money as you can before gracefully exiting this sport. I think we're at that stage. Good job, Lucindo. Anthony Hernandez versus Austin Hubbard. Really, really good fight. I thought Anthony Hernandez won every single round in this fight, personally. I have not much to say other than the fact Anthony Hernandez looked good, came in and out, struck with Austin Hubbard. Hubbard isn't good enough, in my opinion, for the division. Not for the division, just to be fighting there's some prelim kings in the UFC. Some prelim kings. You have Moicano, back before he got ranked. You had Drew Dober, Bobby Green, to some extent Nasrat Hasparat, and I feel like Alexander Hernandez is of that kin, that ilk. He's kind of the same cloth. I have nothing else to say about this fight. He's one of those fighters. He's that next step above Austin Hubbard. I'm sorry for that silence. I thought he won the round every single time. Every single round. I thought he outstruck. I thought he landed the better shots. He was bloodied up. So was Austin Hubbard. If you want to give Austin Hubbard the second round or something, I get it. They were close enough. You can give him one round. Can't see him winning 2 rounds. I thought Anthony Hernandez clearly won. Looks good. Not sure who's going to fight next. Has he fought Nasrat? Has he? Probably has, right? I feel like they fought. They must have. Alexander? Yeah. Nasrat? Yeah. I'm not sure what's next for Hernandez. It's a tricky situation. He went down to featherweight, made a fool of himself, lost almost every single featherweight he fought, got finished brutally every single time. His chin was not the same in featherweight. Come back to lightweight. Looks good, does well, wins. Not much else to say. Maybe, what's his name? Jared Gordon? Is he still in the UFC? I hope he is. Maybe he can fight Hernandez. That'd be fun. The pick was Hernandez. I got the pick right. You can see I'm getting some of these picks right. Some of these, a lot of these. Towards the end of the card, I got robbed out of the last 3 fights in the card. Just sucked me dry, I guess you could say. Ihor Potieria versus Cesar Almeida. Cesar Almeida, I'm sorry, you are not elite enough or young enough to hang out in the middleweight division. Ihor Potieria is a primary striker. Cesar Almeida is a primary striker. You lost on the feet, I thought. Honestly, I thought the first round went to Ihor Potieria. I thought Ihor Potieria won the first round in the fight. I think he mixed in some grappling, held him against the cage a few times in the first round, and then just did well enough on the striking that I just thought he won. Second round comes around. This was a round 3 finish, I think. Let me look it up. I think it was a round 3 finish. Let me find this. UFC, brother. I do remember, but I was just in an argument with my... not an argument, I was talking to my channel favorite. Oh, it doesn't tap out, sorry. There was no finishes. Okay. The second round goes to Cesar Almeida. Does better in the striking. Oh, let me get this out of my chest. There was 5 different times Cesar Almeida fouled Ihor Potieria. 4 eye pokes, I'm not joking, 4 eye pokes and a nut shot. And then at one point Ihor Potieria was like, oh shit, he eye poked me again. Then he starts backing off like, ref! And Cesar Almeida just like swarms him and just wins the round doing that. Craziness. Anyway, round 3. Yeah, actually, why wasn't a point taken? I have never seen a fight where the ref literally 4 or 5, I think 5 times even. I think it might have been 5 times, guys. 4 times at least. It was at least 4. 4 different times the ref separates 2 people, says, watch out for your fingers. No, that was a low blow. I'm giving you a verbal warning. Didn't actually say that, but I've never seen someone break a fighter off that many times who's compromised his opponent to that degree and not get a point taken off of him. In the most articulate way I can possibly say. I've never seen that. Weird. I had Cesar Almeida part of my multi. I needed him to win, but even I was like, that's a bit unfair. Anyway, Ihor Potieria, the chinniest dude in the division, somehow took all the strikes from Cesar Almeida. In the 3rd round, Cesar Almeida had a submission move, had a guillotine choke on Ihor Potieria. Potieria got out of it. He did beat him up a little bit. The round ended clearly 2-1. The first round's Ihor's, in my opinion. I think it's the right opinion. I think most people would agree. Let's just Cesar. Cesar probably isn't going to go anyway. He's 36 years old. Probably going to have some fights in the prelims or some pay-per-views or maybe like the main card of like some fight nights. And that's probably going to be Cesar Almeida's entire UFC run, in my opinion. I'm calling it now. Prove me wrong. The pick was him. I won that bet. Ryan Spann versus Ovince Preux. I had Ryan Spann winning in the first. I had him winning. I had him finishing off Ovince Preux. I did say the loser of this fight should be cut from the UFC, and I felt bad saying that because I knew if Ryan lost, we would lose a fun fighter. So I'm really, really happy that he beat Ovince Preux. Quite decisively, I feel like. He beat him decisively. Obviously, he finished him, submitted him, dropped him as well, hurt him real bad, dropped him, submits him. Ovince Preux is 41 years old. His biggest moment of his career came when he fought John Jones. I'm sorry. You're just not that dude, Ovince Preux. Like, I know you beat Corey Anderson, so that added a little bit of hype to you. But in the grand scheme of things, you ruin more cards than you save. You go to a UFC fight night, you're on the main card, we're watching the fight night, you show up, you have the most boring fight of the night. I feel like if the UFC keeps you around, you are like the gate. The light heavyweight division is trash. Let's get that out of the way. Like, it's obviously trash, right? We can agree. Light heavyweight division, trash. Especially in the lower the ranks you go. Anthony Smith is still a top 15 fighter right now. Insane. After losing to Roman Dolidze, a fighter unranked in his division and moved up from the division below him on short notice. Anyway, Ovince Preux. If UFC keeps you around, you are now the new benchmark for light heavyweight. If someone loses to you, that person is out of the UFC and straight to Bellator, or PFL now, or One Championship, or Ryzen. Anywhere but the UFC, you know what I mean? Or YouTube. Maybe they can start making their own YouTube videos and breaking down fights like I do. Anyway, if Ovince Preux beats anyone, get him out of the UFC. Or if you want to cut Ovince Preux right now, cut him. I know he's 41. You're probably paying him way more than he's worth at this stage of the game. Like, he's been around long enough to the point where his contract is probably asking for, like, at least $250,000. Like, at least, we're talking at least $250,000 a fight. Right? Right. Moving on. Pick Ryan Spann. He won. Follow my tips. Tisha Pennington versus Carla Esparza. Carla Esparza looked thick. She came with some big glutes, some big thighs. Honestly, looked similar size to Tisha Pennington. In the first round, takes down Tisha Pennington. I was surprised. I thought this might be a new, rejuvenated Esparza in her last fight for some reason. You know what I mean? I was talking to my chat. There was one person in the chat. It was Spencer. Shout out Spencer again. I was talking to him and I'm like, what's going on? And he was like, if it's my last fight, he was saying that if it was his last fight, he would go all out if he was Carla Esparza. I said, I understand, but also, the fact that she knows that she will never get a paycheck ever again, she will probably not have been training the last 10 weeks as hard as she could have leading up to this fight. Probably some off days, some seggy time with her girlfriend. Wait, Her husband, I mean, the other one's the lesbian. Having a baby, having fun with the baby, dressing him up like a cookie monster. You know what I mean? Anyway, second and third round come around. Tisha Pennington does really well on the feet. She's cracking Carla Esparza, more explosive, better striking, circling in and out. Just far better. Actually, no, Carla Esparza is circling out. She's like on the outside, just going, like around the cage, circling around the cage. Tisha Pennington doing quite well on the striking, in the striking exchanges. Beats in the second round. Third round comes around. It's a close fight. The third round's a close round. Eventually, I did think Esparza did enough to not win. Because that wasn't a split decision, apparently. But the third round was close. Esparza takes it down at the end. Unloads a little bit. I think it was a split decision, actually. What am I talking about? Wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was. So many split decisions tonight. Anyway, towards the end of the round, Esparza does her thing in the last minute, actually. She does good on the strikes, takes it down, throws some strikes, not really that significant in the last 5 to 10 seconds. Enough to make you think, will they rob Pennington? Because in the first 4 minutes of the third round, Pennington was outclassing her, striking her away. Esparza was just circling on the outside of the cage for the most part. And I'm happy for Esparza. She looks like an adult, she looks like a Teletubby that grew up. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I'm happy that she ended up, I'm happy. She got a video package afterwards. I didn't really care. But after watching it, I was like, you know what? Esparza's a nice girl. She beat Rose twice for the title. She's a 2-time champion in her own division. Let her have this. I don't know why she was in the early prelims. I feel like this was a bigger fight than Marina Rodriquez versus Iasmin Lucindo. But it is what it is. Shout out to Carla Esparza, 2-time women's champion. One of the worst fights of all time. But despite that, a legend of the sport. And I think she is someone that should go into the Hall of Fame as a woman. In my opinion. 2-time champion. You got her. The pick was Tisha Pennington. She did win. Court McGee versus Tim Means. Let's finish this off right here. I thought Tim Means was going to win. I thought he was going to keep the fight on the feet. I thought he was going to catch him. Well, not catch him. Hurt him enough to the point where he gets dropped a few times. Gets up. The rounds are decisive enough. 228. Tim Means. Tim Means is really, really old. He got Court McGee shot a takedown, took him down, and then submitted him brutally. Not brutally, but literally with ease, I thought. For two old dudes, I thought it was a 50-50 coin flip fight. I thought they would be a bit more competitive. Tim Means would stuff a few takedowns. Court McGee himself would be a little bit sloppy with some of his shots, but no, he just got the takedown, submitted him, first round. We started the card off right. Before I finish off, I'm going to say one thing. UFC, time your pay-per-views a bit better, please. We're getting to the end of Ovince and Preux versus Ryan Spann in the first minute of the first round, and then we have 15 minutes of Chael Sonnen, Anthony Smith, and Megan O'Leary, breaking down some nonsense, Roman Dolidze versus Kevin Holland. I'm not saying it's nonsense, but they're just talking about a fight that we know for a fact they would not have talked about if that break wasn't there. They've already talked about it enough on their little channels. On ESPN, on UFC's channel, we don't need to hear it now. Let's get these cards moving a little bit, Let's get a little bit better flow to these cards. Because the prelims were all decisions, and we didn't see this much of that. We shouldn't be rooting for decisions. We shouldn't be oh, I hope it's a fun fight and it goes to decision. You know what I mean? Because that dead time in the middle really does hurt some of these pay-per-views. Anyway, that was the entire what just happened at UFC 307. I will make another video specifically breaking down Khalil Rountree versus Alex Pereira. Uploaded later on in the day. But yeah, that's UFC 307. It was a good pay-per-view. I really liked it. It was fun. 44-minute breakdown. That took a while. I'll catch you next time. Like and subscribe. I'm on 15 subscribers now. Please, let's get me to 20. And like the video. Thank you.